So what is supposed to be the answer right now? What would make all of this somehow better? How could we be in a position to worry a lot less overnight? I don't have an answer for you on that, short of a breakthrough treatment. Perhaps it's hydroxychloroquine and zinc or something else. Who knows? But short of that, I don't know what that answer would be. But there are a lot of leftists out there who think they do have an answer. All that we really need for a dramatic change here would be a change in leadership. That's right. If only Joe Biden were in charge of this situation, things would be so much better. All these horrible situations we're going through would be much less of the challenge than they currently are, because Joe Biden would get it done. That's what they are telling us. That's what they want us to believe. Here is that guy. Here is that amazing and talented and brilliant leader, just showing us exactly the kind of communication and strategy that we could expect if Joe Biden were to take over for Trump. Play 2.
The case where we cannot let this, we've never allowed any crisis from the Civil War straight through to the pandemic of 17, all the way around 16. We have never let our democracy take second fiddle. We can both have a democracy and elections and at the same time correct the public health.
What? It's not even clear to me that Joe Biden knows what Joe Biden was trying to say. It just seems like it's just, a mashup of different thoughts and ideas and maybe something that he read somewhere from someone and something, and who knows. This is what we were told, that Trump has blood on his hands. He wasn't prepared. He's not up for this. But Joe Biden is, folks, a candidate that many Democrats, when they thought that they had better options, younger, more mentally with it options on the Democrat in the Democrat field, they were saying that, they don't think Joe Biden. Now they're, oh, no, he can handle it. He's going to be fine. I give credit to Joe Rogan here, who is one of the very few podcasts that I will actually take the time on occasion to listen to. I do think he's done some very interesting interviews. Guy wanted Bernie Sanders to win the presidency, so there's a lot that I think Joe and I would disagree on politically, but he is respectful to people, and he does do a good interview, and that gets you pretty far with me as far as what I'm willing to watch and listen to. And here is what Joe says about the 2020 election at this phase, and this is a bit of honesty that I think a lot of Democrats need to hear. Play 1.
This is the real issue with the Democratic Party. They've essentially made us all morons with this Joe Biden thing. They really have. They made us all morons.
Who do we need? I mean,
I can't vote for that guy.
I can't vote for him.
I can't vote for him.
I can't vote for Trump.
I'd rather vote for Trump than him. I don't think he could handle anything. I mean, you're relying entirely on his cabinet. Like, if you want to talk about an individual leader that can communicate, he can't do that. And we don't even know what the he's going to be like after a year in office. The pressure of being the president of the United States is something that no one has ever prepared for.
Right.
The only one who seems to be fine with it is Trump, oddly enough.
That's right, folks. Honest people look at Joe Biden and say, nope, sorry. As much as you may hate Trump, there is no objective indicator of Joe Biden would be better at handling anything, never mind this pandemic, than Donald Trump is. Based on what? Joe Biden's experience. Remember, this is a guy who's been running for president since the 80s. And he was a joke of a candidate. And then Obama picked him because he kind of needed some guy that, wasn't going to steal anyone's thunder and wasn't going to be that impressive, but was establishment. And, Joe Biden won the vice presidential lottery. That's what happened. Okay. Joe Biden won the lottery. And now we're supposed to think that he's some great statesman, that he has the skills and the acumen, the knowledge to make the tough choices that Donald Trump doesn't. This is just, there's no basis for this. There's simply no basis for it. As much as people, just forget this stuff all the time, hating Trump does not mean that someone else is really competent and good. You know, they had other options. They had other choices here. They had other opportunities to go with, candidates that were not this particularly out of it. And just always, Joe Biden's always been unimpressive. Always. Guy's a senator from Delaware. I mean, Delaware, you got a lot of lovely people there, but it's not a state that's really dictating to the rest of the union how things are going to go, I mean, it's kind of like, it's just, there's nothing about this guy that screams presidential material. But the problem that the Democratic Party has is that they didn't have anyone else really, and they weren't. See, here's what really happened in this Democratic primary. Democratic Party's gone far left. We know that. They've more closely and more openly embraced socialism than at any other time in the party's history, certainly in the last, let's say, 100 years or so. And that was what the primary was about, and that was the trajectory of it. And then we reached this point where they just weren't willing. They had this last-minute DNC apparatus, all these people that dropped out right in time for Biden to lurch ahead of Bernie. This should have been the Bernie election for the Democrats. That would have at least been in keeping with the trajectory of their party, where the youth of the Democratic Party are. But the establishment within the DNC, the power structure, was worried. They were worried about where this was going. They were worried about what this would do. And so they just said, sorry, we're going to go back to the most boring, uninspiring, quote, safe candidate that they could find. And now they're going to work overtime to tell us that, yeah, he's going to be amazing. He's going to be great. They've never thought that before. And there's nothing that has changed between those thoughts and now other than he's all they got. He's the all they got candidate. And they're going to be turning around telling us that if we don't see this, we're just idiots. We're Trump bots. Who do you think Joe Scarborough is going to vote for? Joe Scarborough, conservative or Republican or whatever he says he is now. It's absurd. I want to also tell you, I got to watch a bit of, because we're all on lockdown. And I finished, just so you know, the book on socialism. We needed to update it a little bit because of what's going on in the world. We're going to release it as an ebook. So that's coming up soon. It's going to be an ebook, and maybe we'll do a print run of it as well. But this is with my friends at Stansberry Research. So the book the draft is in, it's done, and now it's just how long we take to do the copy editing. And so it'll probably be available for download in the next 4 to 6 weeks. That was one thing that I finished over the weekend. So I'm really hoping you'll all the title, it may change at this point still, but the title has been the Socialism Survival Guide, 8 Radical Predictions about Socialism and Your Financial Future. So that's going to be out, and that was why I didn't get to. I'm telling you this because I didn't get a chance to do the Malta podcast, Siege of Malta podcast this weekend. The research though is underway. I've pulled some of it together. I've busted out my Malta books. We're moving on it. We're moving on it because I really want to get that one. And I think even producer Mark thinks that's a good idea. So if he thinks it's a good idea, then I know it's got to be a good idea. Because he's not one to tell me, yeah, Buck, that's genius. He's not that guy. So if he likes it, we know it's good. And even producer Mark, you think the history podcast will be interesting, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love any new content, and we have plenty of it coming out.
Yep, exactly. So we're going to have that podcast happening. And so, yeah, that's where we are. That's what we got. And what else are we looking at? Oh, yes. So I watched some shows over the weekend, and I was convinced to check out The Crown, and that just reminds me a little bit of Queen Elizabeth, still going strong. She had some thoughts on coronavirus. I just wanted to share this with you, and then I'll tell you my thoughts on The Crown, the show, which is largely about Queen Elizabeth. Play 10 here.
While we have faced challenges before, this one is different. This time we join with all nations across the globe in a common endeavor, using the great advances of science and our instinctive compassion to heal. We will succeed, and that success will belong to every one of us. We should take comfort that while we may have more still to endure, better days will return. We will be with our friends again. We will be with our families again. We will meet again.
Absolutely. I like where the Queen's at on this one. I'm supportive of her message. And I think that for those who are wondering, The Crown, it sucks you in. It's a pretty good show for what it is. I figured I'm more of an Uhtred, son of Uhtred guy. I want sword fights and crazy stuff. But if you're willing to give it a chance, The Crown, it's so well executed. The acting, the writing, the sets. I'm just going to say it. The suits. I mean, these guys, these British lords and members of the royal family, great custom tailors that work here. This Savile Row stuff, it's pretty money. So I've enjoyed watching quite a bit of The Crown. I think I binge watched a bit, 5 episodes in over the weekend. So I could suggest that one for you, and that would now be high on my list of recommendations. So let's transition now into some quarantine talk, some roll call, some other things. That's coming up. All right, so still in quarantine situation here in New York, going to be for the foreseeable. I told you I watched some Crown over the weekend, which I have to say was pretty good. I thought Ozark got way too depressing and kind of painful to watch, actually. And I've been a big Ozark fan. Producer Mark, where are you in the Ozark?
Still not into season 3 yet. I have the first 2 seasons done. Yep.
Yeah, I'll be curious to know what you feel about the season 3. It started off really strong, and then it sort of gets, I don't know. I found it so tough to watch some parts of what happens that I started fast forwarding through, which for me is never a good, I only do that when there's nudity because obviously I cannot see any boobs or else my eyes will fall out of my head because I'm a very good Jesuit-educated man who cannot handle these things. But yeah. I had to fast forward through some of the really intense stuff in Ozark.
Like violence, or what are you talking about here?
No, more like emotional distress. I don't know. You'll see when you watch it, and so you won't be confused about it'll be very clear what part of it I'm talking about.
I'll have an aha moment.
Yeah, you'll be like, oh my gosh, and it goes on for a while. You're like, why am I watching this? What did you watch? What was on the Producer Mark docket over the weekend?
Well, so we finished The Creek, not the actual name of the show, but I can't say the actual name.
The Creek, sure.
So I knew there was going to, every couple has this moment where you have to watch a new TV show, and there's going to be a big fight about it. So eventually we settled on this show from USA Network from a couple years ago called Royal Pains.
Huh.
Yeah.
How was that?
It's actually pretty good. We're through the first season, I think, or maybe we're up to getting close to the first season. It's about this doctor who gets fired from his regular ER job for a completely ridiculous reason and then goes out to the Hamptons and becomes a concierge doctor. Basically just being a doctor for rich people that don't want to go to the hospital.
Oh.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds nice.
It's interesting.
Yeah. Probably deal with some people who aren't necessarily that warm and friendly, but
yes, that's for sure.
I can imagine that's kind of the case. Any exciting culinary adventures for you and Mrs. Mark?
I made some chicken fajitas yesterday.
You did?
I did.
Well, look at you.
I had a little assist from the wife, but they were delicious.
That came out well. That's good to hear. I made some skirt steak with a little bit of an herbed butter sauce, which was or an herbed butter, I should say, that you put on it and then it melts after you pull it off the cast iron. That was quite good. And then just some seared. I love asparagus. I don't know. What's your favorite green vegetable?
Definitely not asparagus. My wife hates asparagus.
Really?
Yes, despises it. I'm a big broccoli
When you guys come
guy.
over, I'm not going to make you asparagus then. That's good to know.
Please don't. I'm a big broccoli guy. That'd be my first
Broccoli,
choice.
man.
Yeah.
No, broccoli's good. Broccoli's cool. All right, we're gonna do some roll call here. Let's get to it. Suzanne, first up. Hey, Buck, I work in an essential infrastructure company that recycles pallets used in the supply chain. We service mostly distribution centers for Walmart, Target, Amazon, and large chain grocery stores. We are one of the larger plants in our 45-plant chain across the country, operating 2 shifts, 6 days a week, with 100 people on payroll up until today. We laid off 6 people today with more likely to come. We will likely move from 2 shifts to 1. while we don't see a plant closure on the horizon, our truck drivers will continue to pick up and deliver pallets to these DCs, but a slowdown is definitely happening as people are buying only essentials and saving cash. I believe we will come back stronger as a community and a country when we get control of this. Thanks for all you do, Buck. Shields high. Well, Suzanne, thank you for writing in and telling me about this. The impact of this on the economy is going to it's going to manifest itself in in ways that are really, it's going to be painful. It's going to be painful. There's a lot less buying going on. Yeah, everyone's buying food and household essentials. That's really all the people are buying. Because if you try to buy other things, the logistics supply train is so focused on those, understandably so focused on food and household essentials that you can't get other stuff. So, when I wanted to buy recently a new tea kettle, for example, I was told that on Amazon, I think I had to wait 6 weeks because I'm drinking a lot of tea these days. I'm trying not to just stuff. I found a stash of white chocolate M&Ms somewhere in my apartment, producer Mark. Do you know what tastes really good at like 11 o'clock at night when you're watching Netflix?
White chocolate M&Ms.
Yeah. So I'm trying to do more tea drinking, 0 calorie, so that we're not going to have, at the end of this quarantine situation, Jabba the Buck doing radio. But it's going to be a battle that I'm not winning right now. I will tell you that.
Yeah, I'm failing the battle also. I have chocolate-covered Oreos in the house somewhere. Dangerous.
Yeah, they're just certain things. And then I sit there, I'm like, well, what else? What else am I? I'm really going to get excited about doing 100 push-ups a day? We'll see about that. Jason, Buck, I'm a nurse. The experts saying masks don't work early in this crisis was like saying walls don't work. Of course masks work. It's true the act of inspiration creates a powerful vacuum that draws particles around and through a mask, but the primary benefit of masks in this situation is not to protect those who aren't sick, it's to contain those who are sick. Expiration is relatively passive, and a simple mask is sufficient to adequately contain viral shedding of asymptomatic carriers and those in the incubation phase. Yeah, Jason, I appreciate it, man. And thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for being on the front lines, trying to help people stay healthy and deal with this pandemic and save as many lives as possible. It is so obvious, isn't it? Of course, masks work. And if the whole problem, they shouldn't have told us masks didn't work. They should have said, we don't have enough masks for first responders. Make your own masks if you can. And let's get all of our medical supplies in place for those who are on the front lines. And then maybe we'll have more of those for other people. They don't have to worry about DIY. But there should have at least been a DIY or cover your mouth with a scarf or do whatever you can in public to limit the transmission of this. But instead, the experts chose a path of some degree of dishonesty. All righty. Roll call continuing on here. Shelley. Not to be confused with Percy Bish. Hey, Buck. Love your show. And a huge thank you for toughing it out in New York. You and producer Mark are the best. You have excellent taste, Shelley. North Dakota is usually a fairly hardy state, but this last year has been rough, and not just because of the virus. Our main economic engines, are agriculture and oil. Last year's weather was really bad for our farmers, and then this oil fiasco hit, and with it, the virus mixed in. We are struggling. We've not been affected too harshly by the virus, but we've been practicing distancing and business closures and self-isolation and online schooling anyway. I can handle most of it all right, but not being able to go to church is hard. Thankfully, our parish is filming the Mass, then posting it on YouTube. It will be that way for Holy Week. So sad and surreal, but thank God for the internet. We will all get through this with our shields high. Indeed, Shelley, we will with our shields high. And thank you so much for writing in. Sorry to hear that North Dakota is going through a rough time. What a beautiful state. And I know that it's a tough time in particular for anybody who's in the oil and gas field or in the economic sector of oil and gas. And it's going to get a lot worse. You're going to see a lot of bankruptcies, I think, from oil and gas companies in some including some big ones in the months ahead. The price of oil is just so low, and this is why Trump met with OPEC, and he's so funny. He meets with OPEC, and he's like, I don't like cartels. I don't like these guys, but I'm trying to tell them to do the right thing here. But it's going to be tough in the oil and gas industry for a while. And I know it's a lot of jobs in a lot of places, and we just hope that it bounces back, and we know that it will eventually. Just sooner than later would be great, because I know that people, in the short term, people suffer. In the long term, they may prosper, but in places like, or in situations like this, the short term is going to be what's tough. Jim, hey, Buck and Mark, I'm a medical laboratory. Team Buck has got we got experts for everything. I mean, the good news is I feel like if Mark or I ever got kidnapped, we just put out the Team Buck bat signal, and we'd have a team of, super ninjas, a bunch of Delta guys would come together with a bunch of world-class experts in communications and tracking, and, they'd come get us, Producer Mark. It would be like the end of Spy Game when they get Robert Redford out of the Chinese prison. Get Brad Pitt, rather.
It'd be like an episode of 24, Jack Bauer, or somebody like him would just come in and save us.
Yeah, they would just say, there's a bunch of Jack Bauers who listen to the show. We know that, so we'd be fine. I got that. We got that going for us, which is nice. Anyone kidnaps Producer Mark or Buck, someone in Team Buck is going to get us out. I'm a medical laboratory scientist. This is Jim in West Michigan. Just wanted to relay some amazing news I got at work the other day. Abbott, the medical company, has just donated 20 of their quick testing instruments to Spectrum Health in Grand Rapids. It allows us to get a positive in 5 minutes and a negative in 13 minutes. My hospital alone is getting 2 of them, and they will be up and running by tomorrow. Game changer. We've been swabbing people, but if they weren't serious, they would be sent home, and results would come up to 24 hours later, allowing positives to come in contact with who knows how many more. Granted, we will have a relationship with Abbott going forward, which will make them a lot of money, but still, they donated them for immediate use and should get a shout-out for doing so. Hope you guys are staying safe. My 13-year-old daughter and 10-year-old son live on Long Island, so I'm very concerned about what's going on there. Pass the buck to 2 more liberals I work with, and they are slowly seeing the light. Shields high, fellow patriots. Well, Jim, thank you. Great note, great message today on Roll Call, and we appreciate it. Yeah, I hear you on all that. I'm glad to see that Abbott, the medical company, is donating and trying to step up and do some good things here. And I mean, that's for Long Island. Long Island's been hit pretty hard, but Long Island is, especially in Nassau County, you got to think of it as a suburb of New York City. Nassau is a suburb of New York, right, Producer Mark? That's pretty fair to say.
Yeah, that's fair to say. Suffolk's a bit more spread out, and there's more land, but Nassau is basically a city.
Yeah, I mean, Nassau, the commuting population from Nassau into NYC proper is huge, so it's really just an extension of New York City. But I'm sure your young ones out on Long Island, they're statistically very, very safe from even getting the disease, and if they did get it, they're statistically very, very, very unlikely to have any real problem with the disease. So try not to. I know you know that, Jim, but sometimes it's good to hear things you already know. Try not to worry too much about it. And Shields High, thank you so much for passing the show on to some liberals. By the way, we do have a YouTube channel that's up that it is up. And we're going to be sharing it more and more with folks. And BuckSexton.com, the site is up and running, and we are posting and putting up stories. We have a story right now that's going viral on how Buy American is going to become a big rallying cry as a result of this crisis. So please go to BuckSexton.com if you have not already. Check in, day to day. We're going to have stories up there and just have more and more functionality, different things that we're working on, comms that we're going to have going there for my, my Twitter will be popping up there. So even if you're not on Twitter, you'll see tweets that I'm sharing. We're going to do a lot of stuff. I've been promising this for a long time. We had to do some redos on the site and everything else, but BuckSexton.com, go to it, check it out. We're posting stories, posting transcripts of the show, updating it. You can get a lot of news there. That's what we're doing. So, and on the YouTube channel, just look on my social on Facebook or on Twitter, and we'll put links up there for the Buck Sexton YouTube channel. And please do subscribe. We really need subscriptions. Jane. Hey, Buck. Glad you and Toulouse are staying safe and well. My husband and I are seniors. What has me frosted is they told us to prepare for 2 weeks of self-isolating. We did, and for a little longer. I have a friend who has been bringing things by that I forgot. Now they want 5 weeks more or longer. We have no family nearby. I can't ask her to do my grocery shopping for months. She has a family of her own to take care of. What in God's name are we supposed to do? What if the Wuhan virus doesn't get us, but starvation might? Well, Jane, I understand your concern here, and we all share your worries about what this is doing to the country, and certainly doing to people like you and your husband who are seniors, who we want to make sure that we protect and cherish and do everything we can to support. I think that we're going to have a tough April. We're going to have to find ways to get through this. I don't think that. Don't worry about starvation. The supply chain disruptions for food so far are really, I haven't seen any supply chain food disruptions. There's been a lot of supply chain disruptions for other goods and products, but we'll be able to feed ourselves for a long time, and certainly for the next few months. So I wouldn't worry about that. And as for groceries, I would try to investigate if there's any delivery options in your area. I know that's very tough. It's very hard here in New York right now. But people want to step up, Jane. Remember that. People want to help you and your husband. If I knew of somebody, if I knew of a couple that were senior citizens in my building, I'm doing a lot of the chores for my parents who are, one is a senior citizen and one is not, but they're both staying under quarantine. But I'm doing my chores, or I'm doing chores rather to help them out because they gave me life. So, I think I owe them. Yeah. But I'm doing the best that I can to make sure they're as comfortable as they can. It's also why I took Tulu in, so that because I'm comfortable walking her and going out with her, and I'm not overly worried about my personal health if I were to contract COVID-19, and I'm isolated. I don't see people. So yeah, Jane, try not to worry. Reach out, ask people for help. They want to help you. They want to help, and you're not being a burden. Remember, we're all in this together, right? So if you're sheltering at home as a senior citizen, you're doing your part, because you're not then taking higher risks that could make you a burden on the healthcare system right now, when it's already facing a lot of this surge of COVID-19 patients. So you're doing your part, and that means other people need to do their part by helping you out and helping you stay fed and safe during your shelter at home process. So ask for help. Don't be shy about it. We all need to ask for help right now. Kyle, Buck, I think you're right about the economy being in big trouble after the shutdown is complete. To say it'll snap back because of how strong it was before Corona is like saying you'd snap back after being hit by a truck, spending a month in a coma because you were in amazing shape before the accident. No, you'll spend months in rehab and carry those injuries with you for years afterwards. Kyle, I don't know what the future holds on this, man. I mean, I'm worried, just like you. I'm worried about what it does to the economy, and I feel like a lot of people pretend to know, and they really have no idea. But I also will tell you that maybe the Trump team has thought this through pretty well, and that's the hopeful part of me. I mean, if you're asking me to put money on it right now, I'd say we're heading for a rough time economically for a while. It's going to be like a year before we feel like things are. Now that doesn't mean it won't. Right now, there's no activity in whole industry. So I'm hoping that will change. But I hear you, and I think that the willingness to just have. I guess I don't know. We're taking it on faith. I don't know what we're really supposed to say about this. We're in a tough spot, and no one has perfect answers about this. But yeah, there's going to be a lack of commercial activity that they're not going to be able to make up for right away. People aren't going to go to dinner 100 times in a month because they haven't gone to dinner in 3 months. Going out to dinner, I mean, it's not going to happen. So where does all that go? And those who are property owners and those who hold the mortgage on different properties that need money to pay that, and those debts are all still outstanding. Just because those debts are deferred doesn't mean they won't be collected. I don't have a perfect answer on it though, but Kyle, I'm watching it, and I'm gonna keep speaking the truth as best I can on all this. Jennifer, in all caps, love your show. We love you, Jennifer. Thank you. We don't have a lot of cases or deaths from the virus, but let me tell you what's happening from the economic standpoint. We do IT for dental offices. The ADA has closed them until the 30th except for emergencies. This is 99% of our business. They aren't seeing patients to the normal level. One office had 2 patients today. Some needed serious work done. We aren't getting paid for services already rendered. We've had customers call to ask to pay partial balances. We have 5 employees, and we are working remotely and have residual income, but we are not some big company. Cash flow is a big problem. We're either going to have to take the loan from the government or not pay ourselves to pay our employees, but that can only go on for so long. We are seeing economic problems, not virus problems. Shields high. P.S. I hate whistling, too. Well, Jennifer, you love the show and you hate whistling, so you're a person of excellent taste and judgment. And I'm appreciative of hearing about your situation with your business, your company. I'm hearing this from a lot of people, and it needs to get out there. We need to know, because as we're making assessments about how quickly we reopen America, let's understand what is being lost in this shutdown. I understand that they believe that lives are being saved by the shutdown. Lives are definitely being saved by the increased medical effort and personnel, and by the mitigation measures that we're all taking, the hand washing, the face masks, the gloves, all these things that we're doing. Is the shutdown of the economy a completely necessary component of that? That's the question that I do not have an answer for you, but it's a question I'm going to continue to ask. All right, more roll call. Greg writes, hey, Buck, I heard you talking about guinea pigs the other day. Yes, they are extremely underrated pets. I have 3 of them myself, and they are adorable and great apartment pets. Most people find it strange that I'm a grown-ass single man with 3 guinea pigs, but the ladies seem to love it. Shields high. I could see that. I mean, they're cute, you know. I would be enthusiastic about trying out a guinea pig as a pet. I don't think they look like rats. I think that's unfair. Where are you on this, producer Mark?
Yeah, no chance. I don't want a rodent in my home. I'm sorry.
Oof. Your anti-rodent sentiment is harsh to the ears of many people out there with hamsters and guinea pigs.
I mean, to each
I'd
their
go
own.
guinea
I
pig
just don't
before
like 'em.
hamster. Yeah, I'd go guinea pig before hamster. Hamster's a little too much like a mouse for me. But guinea pig is a little more substantial. And I feel like chinchilla is like the Maserati of guinea pig, right? So chinchillas are they're like the fancy man's guinea pig. So you could go that route too.
Don't they smell too?
I mean, I
Like
can
the
tell
smell
you
of a cage?
I've never smelled a chinchilla, so I do not have an answer.
No, I
for you
just
on
meant
this.
like guinea pigs and stuff in general.
I think that Tallulah, the French bulldog that is on loan from my parents that I'm taking care of, she is starting to resemble a guinea pig in terms of her girth ratio to the rest of her body. And I think it's in part because she realized when I cook bacon and eggs, if she stands right next to me and looks up at me and puts on her cutest little dog face, she'll get bacon. And that's in addition to the chicken that I cook for her sometimes.
You are really taking advantage of the fact that your mother cannot slap you right now
Yeah, I know.
for calling her dog a pig.
I mean, it's a guinea pig, though. She's like, guinea pigs are cute. But yeah, she looks a little bit like a guinea pig. Dude, I've also called her a baby seal because, she's all white. She's an all white French bulldog. And the baby seals are white because they need to blend in so polar bears can't eat them. Yeah, true story.
Yeah.
They blend in with the snow. Ted, hey, Buck, got a dilemma. My son is working at a grocery store, and I feel this is a risk to our family. I know at this point he's doing the service to the community because he doesn't get paid very well, but they are not allowing him to wear a mask or gloves. Also, I make 3 times what he does, and I'm afraid of losing my income due to getting quarantined because someone around him gets infected. Should I make him quit? Just your thoughts, buddy. I really hold your opinion higher than most. Oof. Ted, thank you so much, and I appreciate the confidence in me and my judgment to even pose this to me. You're right. Your son is doing a service for the community, and people really do appreciate it. That's not just lip service. Every time I go into a store and I see people still working there, thankfully that means that we can still get stuff that we need, and it makes quarantine a lot more bearable than it would otherwise be. Because I got some canned goods and stuff like that, but I wouldn't want to be living out of cans for weeks and weeks. So I'm very appreciative of folks who are keeping stores open, keeping restaurant takeout and delivery open as much as they can. As for I can't understand why they won't let him wear a mask and gloves. I feel like if he's got a mask and gloves on in the store, he's probably in pretty good shape in terms of risk, pretty low risk. And especially his stores should have some social distancing involved for those who are shopping. You're seeing that more and more. So I would just want to know why they won't let him wear a mask and gloves. If he wears those, I would continue doing that job if I was allowed to wear mask and gloves, no question. As for would you keep doing it without, and how that affects you and your income, Ted, I hate to be this guy, but that's a call only you can make. I'm thinking about it though, but just know that it is a tough call. You're asking for it could go either way for a lot of people who are reasonable and have good judgment here. That could go either way. But let's see if we can get him a mask or gloves. I think that's the biggest move that would really help here. Kelly writes, thankful for your voice. You keep saying things I've been thinking for days. I'm very frustrated. My husband and I have 5 kids. I went to Publix for my weekly grocery run today. I was told I can only buy 2 packs of chicken and 2 packs of beef. That will only get us through 2 meals. And to be clear, I don't overbuy, just what I need to feed a family of 7. When I told the manager this, he said, sorry, ma'am, we're now rationing meat. How do I get off this crazy train? We're in Florida. It's way less crazy here. The frustrating thing about all this is there's no one to go ask the hard questions. This doesn't feel like America anymore. It's beginning to feel like communism. Please keep giving us a voice in fighting. You give me hope. Shields high. Well, Kelly, you give me hope. So you stay in the fight. You and your family, you stay safe, stay strong. Team, another amazing show coming up tomorrow. Until then, shields high.